Yeah. I'm about to sing peace on this one, y'all. Yeah. For real. P-E-A-C-E. Yeah. Feels good. Peace to Maestro for making this track. Vibe with it. Yeah, I hate having to say, gotta go, see you later, so peace is my way. I'm sending shouts out to the sun in the sky.
Welcome back to Montgomery Focus. I'm Griff Waller, your host today, and I have Natalee McGruder with us to talk about how we can get more peace in Montgomery. Natalee, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you, Griff.
Can you give us a little information about your background, Natalee? Where you're from, what do you do, that type of deal?
Sure. I'm from Montgomery. Actually came here with the Air Force. So I was born in Dayton, Ohio. Mom was Air Force. My dad is from here in Montgomery, and we moved back here when I was 9. So I went through Head Elementary, Baldwin Junior High, and Robert E. Lee High School. And then I went on to college at Howard University and also went to the University of Alabama, where I went to law school. And while I was at law school, I had this opportunity. One person sent an email out to the entire law school saying that the Rotary was looking for individuals who might be interested in applying for their ambassadorial fellowship. And so while I was in law school, I applied for that, and in my 3rd year, I knew that I was selected, and I went to the University of Sydney in Sydney, Australia, where I got my master's in Peace and Conflict Studies.
Awesome. And Natalee, full disclosure, we've talked before. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience in Australia and how other people around the world view Montgomery?
Yeah, so I was in my classes at the University of Sydney at the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, and I was experiencing students from all over the world, from Rwanda, from Burma, from various countries that were actually going through various types of violence. And so, these students were there not just to study peace in some, esoteric way, but in order to take it back to their countries to create, basically a more livable situation. And as we were studying, we were learning about the American Civil Rights Movement. And we studied Montgomery and other places in the American South, and people would look to me almost like I was some type of rock star, simply because I was from Montgomery. And so I just felt if people in Montgomery knew how special we were considered and how we were actually studied by people from all over the world as an example, that they would just take more pride in where they come from, that they would not want to say, Montgomery, it's better than you think, or these type of things, but that, no, actually I come from a place that is, world renowned, that's revered by various people all over the world for our contribution to the world in this context of nonviolence and peace.
Right. Natalee, you're working currently on helping us build back that pride factor. Mm-hmm. What's the special initiative that you're working to bring to Montgomery?
So one thing I'm trying to do is create more buzz around the International Day of Peace here in Montgomery. And so I'm actually bringing a conference, which I'm actually calling an unconference because it's a little bit non-traditional in a sense, and It's called Peace Within MGM.
Good deal. Do you have a website?
Yes, so it's peacewithinmgm.com, peacewithinmgm.com.
Gotcha. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty. What exactly is this unconference? What do you plan to accomplish with it? Who is invited?
Yeah, so I've been working with the U.S. Institute of Peace for several months now. They are a wonderful organization based out of Washington, D.C. that was created by Congress in the 80s to help promote peace abroad. But here domestically, they work specifically with young people, training them to be what they call peace builders. And so I took this idea that they kind of generated, and I wanted to create something here that we could inspire our young people in Montgomery to think of themselves as peace builders, but also to acknowledge some of the adults who are peace builders already. And so this conference will bring together both young people, high school aged, and adults in an intergenerational conversation to talk about what can we do to create a more peaceful city.
Right. Now, when you're talking about peace builders and who are adults, are you talking about locally or nationally or internationally?
So all of those. We definitely have some all-stars right here in Montgomery. Sometimes it's helpful to look outside of your city to get examples, but at the same time, there's so many examples here. And on our website, peacewithinmgm.com, you'll actually be able to see video clips of some national peace builders, like NFL football star who has decided to turn to farming and actually donate that food to the needy. A young lady who was a secretary at a school who talked down a gunman simply by using her empathy and, didn't use any force at all and got him to lay down his gun, protected an entire school of children simply by talking to him and empathizing with him. But we also have local peace builders, and there are some really great people right here in our city who work every single day to make sure that Montgomery is less violent, but also just a stronger community.
Right, and I think we have a few clips of each of those peace builders. Who would you like to start with first, Natalie?
I'd like to start with Boyd Stevens. So he works with various different community leaders, and one of those groups is Revolution MGM. But I would say all around, Boyd is someone who uses his God-given talents to inform young people about how they can use their talents, essentially to be peace builders, but also to be successful entrepreneurs and people who might be interested in tech.
Gotcha. So this is model peace builder number 1, Boyd Stevens.
I really am challenged to see there being any form of peace when there isn't equity and equality. So equality in that everyone having the same amounts of opportunity to obtain whatever it is they're striving for. Equity is they're having some ownership, that it no longer be a model that whatever building, whatever I'm engaging in, that I'm doing it for the benefit of someone else and not myself. So it's in that space where I have a tendency to lean towards entrepreneurship and empowering people, both economically, but also empowering them from a professional perspective. Historically, that model has always revolved around going to school, getting a good education, and getting a good job. Well, that model no longer exists. There are two things, some form, fashion, or way, young people have got to work towards acquiring or gaining or developing the mindset for. One is a sense of delayed gratification. And that's I deal with a lot of young people on a daily, weekly basis. And one of the greater challenges is helping them understand that I've got to put a lot of work in now, and I might not see the benefit of that until years later. And when you don't have that mindset, then it's all about the here and now. And when you don't get what you desire here and now, then you become disgruntled, you become dissatisfied, and in some contexts you become rebellious. The first cousin to that is having the spirit of being entitled. Just because you show up and you're breathing, that someone owes you something. And life has never worked that way. And especially as it relates to when you look at conditions and circumstances that are conducive for riots, that's conducive for having different types of wars, if you want to call them that, battles, skirmishes, people just downright protesting. A lot of that comes from people having sentiments and feelings that not understanding that you're not entitled to something really lends itself towards. So I don't have it. Well, I should just have it because I'm here. Well, no, life doesn't work that way. So it's helping young people develop those two areas. That's really crucial, really crucial. At the end of the day, a community is a collection of people. And if we want to address issues that revolve around peace, issues that revolve around hurt, issues that revolve around violence, it's all about dealing with the individuals. And I don't think there's any other solution to that problem.
So great clip there, Boyd. Huge revolutionary figure in the tech revolution in Montgomery right now. Is there anyone similar to Boyd who you'd also consider a local peace builder?
Yeah, definitely. So Boyd and the Revolution MGM people are doing some amazing things, but then there's also Joe Birdwell, who works with the thematic makerspace, and they really bring this idea of being a creative maker alive to young people, using science and technology to inspire them to look into different careers around science, math, engineering, and technology.
Gotcha. Well, we have a clip of Joe too. Let's roll that.
Great.
I believe that the ability for people to come together and interact is the greatest way to build peace. If you look someone in the eye, it's harder for you to make assumptions about them or harbor anger. Some of the things that we do here at the community center and next door at the makerspace, we have build projects where people work with their hands and learn how to build things. We've worked with students with teaching STEM activities to students in underserved community centers. We just wrapped up our 7-week 800 student summer season here, and so kind of offering the seeds of curiosity and knowledge kind of help fight away the specters of assumptions and or complacency that can come when people live in a low information environment. I think we need to listen to people who are hurting. We need to be able to break bread and be able to understand the pain that can lead to violence, but also understand the tools that are that have been laid and are just maybe laying fallow to be able to allow people to build themselves up rather than constantly being felt like they're being torn down.
And that was Joe Birdwell. But there are other ways to really impact your community. I know, for instance, that we've talked about a local peace builder who kind of rose above the violence, so to speak. He came from a violent background, but now he is actually serving the Lord, serving the community, serving tons of people by promoting conflict resolution in a peaceful manner and through an organization. Can you tell us a little bit about Charles Lee, please?
Yeah, so Charles Lee and his organization, That's My Child. He also has a business called That's My Dog, and he is using both entrepreneurship and this idea of giving back to the community and showing young people how they can do both, right? How they can be successful entrepreneurs and also use some of the hardships that they've experienced to give back to the community. And I think that there's serious power in storytelling and being a storyteller, to even take some of the most painful parts of your life and use storytelling to translate that so that other people can hear it and receive it, and that you can create peace in that way as well. So I think Charles Lee and his story, he shows us how you can use your own story and what you've gone through to teach other people and to teach young people how they can also rise above.
Couldn't have said it better. Let's roll with Charles Lee's clip.
I grew up in Chicago, and both of my parents were addicted to crack. Pretty much I was a crack baby. The doctor told me I'd never make it to 5. Made it past 5, man, but my family was still shooting up. Mother was still, mother and father was on crack. And I ended up selling crack, man. Both of my sisters ended up getting pregnant at a young age, one at 12, the other one at 13. And they was like, we hungry. And I went to my big cousin, and he showed me how to cook crack. And we started selling drugs, By 13, man, started gang banging. Ended up getting shot in my chest.
I felt something hit my chest pretty hard. I'm like, oh, they throwing rocks. I ain't never been shot before, so I just thought it was a hard rock. So I'm running and running and running, because I'm trying to get away. They still shooting. But then my sister looked back and she was like, "B, you bleeding?" I looked That's his family.
I moved to Florida when I was 19, man, started selling drugs again, and ended up going to prison. And then when I was in there, man, God was like, I asked God, like, why am I going through all of these crazy things, man? And he was like, look, I need you to go out and help a generation that's gonna be worse than you are. So when I got out, man, I came straight back to Montgomery, man, to try to impact kids and make sure that they don't take the same path that I took down.
As soon as I got locked up, y'all, I got a relationship with myself. I got to figure out who I was. Then I also got to figure out who God was to me. And that's so important.
I feel like I'm a peace builder because we show people how to be an example every day in our community. That's my child was started not to be huge in the city or in the world, but it was just to be a light in my own community. I just wanted to show kids that they could be better. All the things that I've been through in my past, I felt like if I could tell them my story, then they will at least learn and they don't have to go through the same mistakes that I've been through.
Again, such a powerful storyteller and sharing his story and his message to really affect our youth. I think it's a great guy.
Yeah, Charles is amazing.
So there are also ways that local peace builders can lead through entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. How exactly do you do that, and who's a good example?
So another example of an amazing entrepreneur here in Montgomery is Melissa Smith, who is the proprietor of Island Delight, I think Montgomery's only Jamaican restaurant. And not only does she bring so much joy to the community by bringing Caribbean food, but she's also very active in her church and with her youth groups. And so she has had her own struggles in her life, had a child at a very young age, and was really concerned with, what opportunities do young people have here in Montgomery to let out their, creativeness, like to find different things that they can get into to stay out of trouble. And she really spends a lot of her time, as an entrepreneur, as a person who runs a business. It's not like she doesn't have plenty on her plate, right? But she takes out plenty of her time to spend time with youth at her church. She's actively seeking more adults who are willing to spend their time as well. And so I think she's a perfect example of an entrepreneur in the food business who also finds the time to spend with young people.
Let's roll our last video.
Well, a couple years ago, I started this program at our church. It's called AYS, which is Adventist Youth Service. And it's a program that's geared towards empowering our youth for service. We prepare them to be future leaders and to be socially responsible. Well, the culture in Jamaica is a whole lot different, where we take the phrase, it takes a village, we take it literally. Because growing up, we had to respect all our elders, and they were able to discipline us. And if we went home and we said, okay, well, this person spanked me because I did this, you get another spanking from your parents because they're saying, okay, well, what did you do for the neighbor to spank you? So you'd be in trouble. But here, it's different. I realize that you're not able to discipline other people's children, not that you want to spank someone else's child, but you're not able to say, okay, what you're doing is wrong, or don't do this without the parents getting angry. And I think the only way to address that is that we have to bond together and we have to work together to solve this crime issue. That's the only way that we'll be able to do that. I think it would be a good idea to adapt or even emulate what the New Yorkers did after September 11. They didn't just stay at home feeling scared. They decided that they were going to band together, put their differences aside, and they were going to fight back to take back their city. And I think that's what Montgomery needs, for everyone to come together, put our differences aside, and work together. We need to start observing and reporting and just work together.
Good deal. And there's another local entrepreneur that you'd like to mention.
Yes, so Janet Malpartida, she is the entrepreneur who owns De Road Cafe, and that's Montgomery's only Venezuelan restaurant, although they do much more than Venezuelan food. So Janet is truly a peace builder in the sense that food brings people together. And Janet worked on a cruise line for many years. She is an expert at customer service, and she really understands how to make people feel welcome, regardless of what culture they come from and regardless of whether they've ever been exposed to the type of food that she offers. And I really see that what she offers to the community is someone who brings people together. As you know, our Montgomery Biscuits team brings some Venezuelan individuals to our city. And when they found out that there was a Venezuelan place here in Montgomery, they were just overjoyed, you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
They didn't think that they would find a little piece of home here in Montgomery. And I think what Janet brings to the table and what a lot of our Korean entrepreneurs bring to the table as well is that they're helping to bring together cultures through food that may never have come together before. And I think that's a significant part of what being a peace builder is finding out how do you bring people together and how do you find those commonalities instead of the differences, and allow people to emphasize what they have in common and not always, what they don't like about each other or what's so different about each other.
And that's what I've realized in this interview. You know, it seems like there's a lot of sharing cultures, sharing creativity, sharing ideas.
Yeah.
How do you bring that to the youth to kind of excite them and entice them to do the same type of deal?
Sure. So I think food and culture are very important. Another area that really brings people together is art and music. And so those are two things that are featured heavily in our Peace Within MGM event and all the things we've been doing leading up to this event. So one of those things we did was back in the fall, we had a contest, and it was an art contest called the Young Artists for Peace. And so we worked with Georgette Norman, who is the former director of the Rosa Parks Museum, and through her knowledge of, visual and performance art, she helped us to put together this contest that we then invited Montgomery Public Schools to participate in.
Nice.
And so we had great participation from Baldwin Magnet as well as Montgomery Tech.
Gotcha.
And so from those two, we had our winner, who was actually from MTech, and that winner is going to be the conference logo. So it was a way to spark the creativity of young people. We had them to think about, what does peace mean to them? What does peace mean to Montgomery? And have them use their creative outlet through their art class to say what that meant to them personally. So that was just one way that we used art. And in terms of music, we're going to have an amazing hip-hop artist come. His name is Rashawn Ahmad.
Oh, yeah.
And he is just absolutely phenomenal. He is the antithesis of what I think most people who are maybe not familiar with hip-hop think of when they think of a hip-hop artist. His subject matter is that of, peace and love and redemption. And he speaks about, his humanity and how he connects that to other people. And I think that it's a great example for young people. I think the young people who attend the conference are going to be very overjoyed to see him perform his song Peace, which is very on topic for our conference, but also to get a chance to talk to him and see, what is it like being a full-time artist and traveling to do shows, and why does he choose the subject matter that he chooses instead of maybe some of the other popular artists that are on the radio, what they choose to talk about. And so I think it'll be interesting for them to hear from him from a personal perspective of someone who is successful and who is an artist who's doing it in a different way and kind of stepping outside of the norm.
Right. Now, that sounds awesome. And what are the other, I guess, attractions for the attendees? And are you targeting a specific age group or demographic, or how does that work for the conference?
So as I mentioned before, it's an intergenerational conversation, and we're going to have an equal number of adults and young people. The young people, we're working with Parks and Recreation, who is going to seek out groups like That's My Child, Common Grounds, other organizations that work with young people. And then we're also partnering with the YMCA, and specifically the Southeast Y. Natasha Foster is doing a lot for us, as well as Sam Adams at the YMCA. And they're helping to reach out to the young people who might be interested in an opportunity like this. And one thing that we'll be doing is meeting with the young people prior to the event and emphasizing to them that this is an opportunity for them to network, to meet adults who have power in Montgomery, and to have their voices heard, so that they understand, even before they come, that they should have some things in mind, things that they would like to change, things that bother them, whether it's about their school or their local community, and also this idea that the adults who they will be engaging in dialogue with are people who can maybe help them achieve some of the goals that they have in life.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you'd like to address about the things you're associating with this conference and with the Peace within MGM movement in general?
Yeah, so one of the things that is really important for us to emphasize, the Peace Within MGM event itself is going to be small, and it is going to be very selected, because we want to start off small so that we can be successful and grow it each year. But one thing that we're doing that we want to involve the entire community of Montgomery is this thing called the Peace Day Challenge. And this is another inspiration that we got from the U.S. Institute of Peace that I mentioned earlier, and this is actually going to take place not only all over the United States, but also all over the world. And so people can check out through our website, Peace Within MGM, how they can get involved, and they can also look at peacedaychallenge.org to find out different ways that they can get involved. But basically, Peace Day Challenge, we're encouraging citizens of Montgomery to pick one thing that they would do on the International Day of Peace, which is September 21st, the same day as Peace Within MGM. And that one thing could be as simple as, I'm going to spend time this month with my elderly neighbor, or I'm going to take out the trash, for my mom, or I'm going to be a mentor, maybe join the Boys and Girls Club. And so, there's so many things that people can do, and we want to encourage them through the Peace Day Challenge to do this, because even if you can't attend the event, everyone can be a part of the Peace Day Challenge.
Awesome. Natalie, before we go, one more time, all the information everyone needs to know about this unconference, can you give it to us?
Yes. peacewithinmgm.com is our website. You can find out more information there. And the Peace Day Challenge, you can also go to our website, peacewithinmgm.com, to find out more about it. And once again, the International Day of Peace is September 21st, and we hope that everyone watching will participate in the Peace Day Challenge.
Awesome. I'm your host, Griff Waller, here with Natalee McGruder. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you,
Rashawn, play us out.
Yeah. I'm about to sing peace on this one, y'all. Yeah. For real. P-E-A-C-E. Yeah. Feels good. Peace to Maestro for making this track. I feel good. Vibe with it. Yeah, I hate having to say, gotta go, see you later, so peace is my way, I'm sending shouts out to the sun in the sky, one love, God bless you, I rest with a sigh. Yeah, I said peace to my job, 5 years ago, took the music thing by the reins, and oh, the struggle don't stop, Most High maintains, I said peace to the drama, stop juggling girls, now my life more calmer, come on, good karma proceed, I said peace to all the leeches, cause them ducks will feed, cut greed, come on. Concentrate on inner peace, it's probably the hardest. Humble and modest, say peace to my mom in the heavens. Our time way too short, but God, I